This year I really want to embody creativity here on my channel and in all areas of my life. In this video I'm sharing how I plan to make 2024 my most creative year. But first I think we need to reflect on how 2023 was one of my most creative years in a long time, despite making very few garments and not making as many videos as I would like. Hi, my name is Matilda and welcome back to Miss Matti. In 2023, I finished 6 projects in total. And I also started a couple of work in progresses, and there also ended up being some UFOs. So let's start by going through those 6 projects that I finished in 2023. So the first project I'm gonna show you, I actually made from some scraps. Then I turned them into this. I absolutely love how this project turned out. I'm not gonna get into too much detail on what I did and the process and so on, because that will be a future video. But what I will say is that this project really inspired me and pushed me to look at my stash newly and do more scrap busting moving forward. And then I also made a wrap dress. I will not share too much about this project either, because that will be the next video. Then I also crocheted a balaclava. I started on this project because a friend of mine was making her first crochet project ever, and she picked this super easy, beginner friendly crochet balaclava tutorial. Whilst it's easy for someone like me who has been crocheting for like almost 15 years, I would say it wasn't super easy for a beginner. My friend did struggle a little bit at some stages, so I decided to make one myself using some yarn from my stash and then be able to help my friend. And I'm happy to report that she actually completed her balaclava in the end, and it's super cute. She added some little crocheted hearts on it as well. Very ambitious first crochet project for sure, but I was no better when I started to crochet. I think I have this tendency in general to start very complex projects in crafts I'm not that familiar with yet. Then I made a Musselburgh hat by Isolda. I was really drawn to this pattern because you can knit with any gauche you like. I really like patterns like that because it really allows you to use what you already have. Editing Matilda here. I do not know why I called it gauche when it is gauge. As far as I know, I have never called it gauche before. I've always said gauge. So I do not know what happened at all in this video. Please just ignore me. When you knit the Musselburgh, you sort of just start knitting, then you measure your gauche. And my gauche was finer than any of the ones that there were instructions for in the pattern. So I had to sort of calculate it on my own. I started this project in 2022, a month or a couple of weeks before they launched the pattern gauche calculator. So if you do buy the pattern today, you do not need to do that. It took so long time to make. It was almost a little bit too simple after you've done the increases, because it's just stockinette stitch for like 50 centimeters, and not the most exciting yarn because I picked a black merino wool yarn. I did this because I felt like I really missed having a black toque in my winter accessory collection, and I had already some black merino wool in my stash, and I often like to use what I have rather than buying new. But to be honest, if I did this project again, I would pick a thicker yarn, maybe a hand-dyed black or charcoal yarn, so it has some more texture and interest to it than just being a plain black yarn. And then when I started to do the decreases, I realized that I did the increases completely wrong. At the time I was just like, I'm gonna push through, finish this project, but I'm not so sure it was the wisest thing to do, because I'm currently blocking this hat. It takes me absolutely ages to get to block a finished knitting project, and I tried to shape the top of the hat at both sides to the same shape, but it doesn't work. So I think now, when a couple of months have passed, that maybe I will have to unravel it. So when I took these photos, it was -12, but it was -20 with a wind chill. And this hat really kept my ears really warm, and actually it doesn't look too bad on, so maybe I will not unravel it for now. I think I will keep on wearing it until I have time to knit more hats, and then I will evaluate. Then I made 2 gifts for my husband. One is this dad cap that says Real Daddy on it. I made this from mostly upcycled materials, and then I made him another cap in this light denim with this skull planter with cactuses inside it. I do think both of them turned out really well. I do think this one might need to have some stiffener added to it to hold it up a little bit better, because you can see it's a bit floppy right now. But overall, it was so fun to make caps. I am currently in the progress of making a cap for my sister, as well as 2 caps for myself. One in burgundy in the same color as this brim, and one in faux leather. Then I started on the star quilt that I mentioned in last year's video that I wanted to make. But I do need to go and buy more fabric, and I will do that once I have the budget for it. Then I'm also working on the Camela hat in brioche. This is the first time I'm making brioche knitting, and I had to redo the beginning of the hat like 3 times before I got it just right, but I think it was really worth it. And this hat, as well as the star quilt, was probably only 2 projects from my 2023 sewing goals video that I made last year. However, like I mentioned in that video, I do no longer have a time limit on my to sew list, and I still do really want to make all those projects that I mentioned in that video. So if you're curious to check out what's on my to sew list, go and check that video out. 2023 was honestly a really hard and challenging year. I barely know anyone who had an easy year last year. Even the people that had a bit of an easier ride than others still had some pretty challenging things they had to face. Let me know in a comment down below how your 2023 was. I really hope it wasn't as challenging for you as it seemed to have been for so many. At the end of the year, I saw this reel with a monkey that there were some couple of versions of it. In one version, he was calling spirit guides. In another, he was calling God. Another one he was calling universe. Anyway, the monkey was calling to ask for the easy, breezy and abundant 2024 package instead of the trials and tribulation package. And I felt it to my core. 2023 was definitely full of trials and tribulations, but overall most of these challenges were challenges that I had to face to be able to grow and be able to live the life that I truly want to live. However, we could have really skipped my friend suddenly passing away. Despite this and a very low number of finished projects last year, I really feel like 2023 was one of my most creative years in a long time. And I really feel like I'm back being my full self-expressed creative self again after a couple of really challenging and not so inspiring years. I was really embracing the creative process over the number of finished projects. I truly believe that creativity is way more about your personal journey rather than the finished result. Part of creativity is exploration and experimentation when you dive into a new idea. And then the idea doesn't always work out, or it doesn't always work out how we thought it was gonna work out. So we need to go back to the drawing board and redo. I realized last year that I had for a really long time put too much importance on how my projects turned out. And when they didn't turn out, I got really upset. I really missed that feeling of being a child and just diving into a creative project and not really caring much about having something useful at the end. Or something to show for it. Because as a child, I just tried out a lot of crafts and projects just for the sake of it, just because I wanted to explore the idea. And I really missed having that approach and just dive into a creative project and not put that pressure on myself. Another reason why 2023 was such a creative year was that I actually approached creativity in so many other areas of my life besides making clothes and other typical art like painting, drawing, writing, and playing music. You know, things that you consider part of the arts. For me last year, I feel like my creativity was also expressed through making YouTube videos. Despite the low output, I feel like I really elevated my skills, and I also feel like I really embraced the process in making videos as well. For a long time, I really felt so stressed through the whole video making process. I felt like the video I was working on should have gone up yesterday. And I felt immense pressure on myself to just get it done as soon as possible. But instead of feeling like I should be further ahead, I actually embraced being present in the step that I actually was working on. Another area I really embraced my creativity was with my makeup. I feel like I had way more fun with makeup last year. After many years of basically doing the same makeup over and over again, I started to experiment a little bit, and also I even made a cow makeup look for you. Other areas I also embraced my creativity in was cooking food, discovering new art and music. These are things that I do just for the enjoyment of them without feeling any pressure to be useful and productive. For a really long time, I got caught up in the trap of always trying to be productive. And as a result of that, these type of things seemed frivolous and silly to me. But I come to realize it is so important to do things without any other purpose than your sheer enjoyment. And if you want to live a fully self-expressed and creative life, you really need to take time to do these things. Living in a new city has also contributed a lot to me feeling more creative. I feel like just going for a walk really recharges my creative brain because there's so much to explore and look at. Interesting architecture, places, beautiful people with a wide range of interesting styles. I don't think I really realized how important my environment is for my well-being and creativity until I moved here. So every year I like to pick a word or a theme for the year. For 2024, I have picked embodying creative living. And I want this to happen without having to acquire too much new materials. I made a video last year when I tried on, I think, 21 garments that I want to upcycle, and then I talked through my plan for those projects. And with 21 garments to upcycle, I really do not need to acquire any more garments to upcycle unless it contains materials that allow me to finish another project. A couple of years ago, I was trying to go stashless. I made a video about it. You can go and check it out if you're curious to find out more. And I'm considering bringing back the stashless project for a bit, especially when it comes to my yarns. My fabric stash contains mainly scraps with some exceptions, and I want to sew with as many of those exceptions as possible this year, as well as challenging myself to more scrap busting projects. If I do find a perfect fabric for anything that is on my to sew list and I do have the budget to buy that fabric, I am also allowed to buy that. For example, I have really wanted to make a jumpsuit for many years, and I have a couple of jumpsuits that I have eyed out that I am interested in making, but I haven't really found the right fabric for them yet. So if I find the perfect fabric for these jumpsuits, for example, I am allowed to buy those. So I'm really not having any hard rules around this. I just really want to reduce my stash and sew with what I already own. I decided that instead of having a specific project list of projects that I want to make in 2024, I wanted to, let me show you, a Crafty bingo card. I got this idea from Lena Norms, and she is having a make do year this year, which means that she's not gonna buy any clothes. Instead, she's gonna make her wardrobe, which I absolutely love. And then she made a bingo card with some things she thought would be fun to make or do in 2024. And I really like that idea because it doesn't only focus on a project, it also focused on skills that Lena wanted to learn in 2024. And with that approach, I created my own, as you can see. So I really wanted to print this one out on a cute pink cardboard that I had, but my printer refused. So we have this printer paper instead. And the first thing I have here is patchwork and quilting. I really want to get back into quilting this year. Hopefully continue on my star quilt, but I do also have another quilting project that I started a couple of years ago but never finished. So I would like to get back to that. Then I have sewing a blazer here. I got a very beautiful tweed fabric when I was in London in 2019, and I wanted to make a blazer out of that fabric ever since. So I think now 5 years later, maybe it's time. And then we have scrap yarn project and we have scrap fabric project, because you know I want to make as much as possible using scraps this year. And then I have finish one UFO, that's an unfinished project for anyone who is wondering. Then we have embroider garment, make a jumpsuit, crochet or knit a tank top, I would really like to do that. And then we have knit a jumper and upcycle 2 garments together. This is something I'm really excited to do. And then I have reduce mount mend to 0. Okay, that's a big challenge. But I don't think I mended anything in 2023. So I think this could be a fun challenge to get back into mending. I have no clue if I ever will achieve that, but we can try. And then I have sew from my stash only. So every time you work on a project, it feels like it's always something, even when you think you have everything, it's always something that is missing. You need a zipper, you need buttons, you need interfacing, and so on. If I manage to complete a project using things I already have without having to go to the store to get something like that, then I can cross this box. And then we have make invisible mend, sew trousers, sew a coat, and dye yarn. Actually, I can scratch this one already. I actually have dyed some yarn already. You probably noticed that the difficulty level on this bingo card varied quite a lot. I mean, it's quite a big difference between make invisible mend and finish all the mending that I have. But I do really love this playful approach to 2024. Instead of putting a lot of pressure on myself that a project has to happen. When it comes to this channel, I know I didn't upload a lot last year. That being said, I worked on several projects, some which you already got a sneak peek of, which I hope to be able to share with you very soon. And a lot has happened as well behind the scenes. I really shifted around my way of working last year, especially after learning about human design and learning that I am a 5/1 manifesting generator, and I'm really looking forward to share more about this in the future. And also let me know in a comment down below your human design type if you know it, and if you don't and have no clue what I'm talking about, I will link to a site in the description box down below where you can find out what type you are and as well as more information. In 2024, I would like to share more about the creative process and the creative habits that have made all the difference for me. While I have 21 garments to upcycle and God knows how many projects I want to sew or knit or crochet, I think I aim for this year to make 12 projects, 1 for each month. I think that's a reasonable goal. I used to look at other YouTubers that uploaded a video a week with a project in that video, and I used to aim for that. And now I come to realize that's not realistic for me, but making 1 project a month and making 1 DIY video a month feels reasonable. Feels like something I can accomplish. It might still be quite a push with my track record, but that's my goal. And if I make less, it's okay. And if I make more, it's okay as well. I'm gonna try to aim for this. And then my goal is to make 3 videos a month. The other 2 will be more sewing tips and tricks, chats about the creative process, and so on. And also let me know if there's anything specific you would like to see from me in 2024. Also let me know what are your creative goals for 2024. Let me know in a comment down below. I think I'm about to lose my voice, but that's all good because we are about to round up. I would just love to hear your creative goals for 2024 in a comment down below. And until next time, bye.